One area we can definitely improve upon is the lack of water sustainment options you see in a lot of people's kits. Whether or not that's their SHTF loadout or their Minuteman kit, people tend to be lacking in the department of water, and we're always going to need more water. And of course, you can carry quite a bit in a rucksack or an assault pack, but what about on your body? What if you get separated from that pack? What's your plan for if you have to drop all that weight because something dangerous starts to happen, and next thing you know, you never get back to it, right? So here's what I've done in order to integrate water into my kit. This is a chest rig that I've been working with for a while now, trying to get used to it and set it up in the way that I think is going to work the best. And I really wanted to put an emphasis on having water available. So I'm going to go through the 3 different water sustainment options that I have here and just how it kind of works as a total system. And then I do want to mention that Midway USA is where you can find a lot of these products. And of course, they're the biggest sponsor of the channel. And in fact, I wrote an article over at Midway USA about these water treatment options. So if you just search Magic Prepper Midway USA, you'll find my page over there and you can read some of those blog posts I have where I go into more minute detail about each of these water treatment options in case you want to get the additional information. But in all reality, what I'm going to tell you now is very basic, but it's something I think a lot of us are lacking, which is why I wanted to remind you of it. And I'll show you that right now. All right, so there are 3 water systems integrated into this kit. So I'll get started with the one that's the easiest to integrate into just about any piece of kit you have, because you could even carry this in your pocket, a backpack, whatever you want, and it's not that expensive. So the first thing is going to be Katadyn MicroPure water purification tablets. And I have those right here in this front pocket. And what's nice about these is that they're similar in function as your iodine tablets that you're used to treating water with, except for they actually chlorinate the water rather than adding iodine. So you don't get that aftertaste or anything like that. You get a 30 pack of these for $16, so they're not super expensive. And each tablet will treat 1 liter of water. And so each of these little packs you see right here has 2 tablets in it. So that's quite a bit of water right here. We have 10 liters ready to be treated from this tiny strip, which weighs nothing and takes up no space at all. Now, the difference of these tablets versus the iodine is that these take 4 hours to actually treat the water rather than 1 hour sometimes that the iodine tablets advertise. So just be aware of that, but you avoid the aftertaste. These do a very good job of purifying the water. It can be used in clean water, dirty water, questionable water. They don't really have a lot of requirements before you treat the water with this particular Katadyn MicroPure water purification tablet. So I have these in a lot of my kits now, regardless of size or whatever it is, because they take up no space at all, and it's just the easiest option, right? Now, you can have these anywhere, but you have to have a container to be able to use them, right? So you have to have something on you to be able to drink water out of, or else these do nothing for you at all. So let me slide these back in here. And don't worry, we'll talk about the chest rig itself in another video, because I really like this chest rig and I think it deserves a little bit more attention. So in order to use those tablets, you have to have a container. And that's what I have right here. Now, we'll talk about how I'm carrying it first, or actually after, because that's important for you to know too, because it took me a little research to find that. But this in particular right here is a Grayl Ultra Press titanium. So this is a really nice built-in water filtration water bottle, and it runs $200. Now, you're asking, why would I want to spend so much money on a water bottle? Well, I like this for quite a few reasons. One, I have a built-in water filtration system in the drinking device or the container already. So that kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. And it also uses one press technology, which forces the water through an activated carbon filter. So this thing gets rid of viruses, it gets rid of all the bioorganisms, as well as anything related to bacteria. It gets rid of everything. Like, this is a really capable water filter. And it has an outer sleeve, which you can see right here. And the reason the titanium model is so expensive is because, well, first off, it's titanium, but second off, you can now use this outer sleeve even to cook with, or to boil water in, or whatever else you want to do with it, in a similar fashion as you would with like a USGI canteen. So yes, it's expensive, but you get something that you can cook or boil water in addition to a water filter, as well as your container, all being in one small, easy to carry package. Now this is 16.9 fluid ounces, so it's not a huge water bottle. So that's a half liter basically. So for those Katadyn MicroPure tablets, I would actually use a half of a tablet to treat this water. So how does this work? Well, I'm going to show you some B-roll here of me actually using this out of some dirty water that I mixed up here in a 5-gallon bucket, just to give you a little demonstration. But basically, you're going to loosen the lid on the top so there's a little bit of airflow allowed. and then you're going to put the water in this container, and then you're going to push this down, usually against the ground or, a hard surface, and you're just going to push down on this, and as the water comes into the drinking vessel, it's all purified. And it can take as little as 10 seconds to purify that water. So it's extremely fast. It allows you to get clean water into your mouth right away. You don't have to wait 4 hours like with the Catadine tablets, but it's also a small package to allow for such function, right? Now, a couple things to keep in mind. One is that I keep a bandana, well, wrong pocket, still setting this up, so I'm getting used to it, right? Keep a bandana or a balaclava. You want a thin piece of material, and when you go to actually fill this outer sleeve, you're obviously going to want to use this balaclava, or like I said, maybe a bandana, in order to make sure no extra large particulates get into the water before you filter it, because it'll just help extend the filter life and keep anything nasty out. So I always have this set up and ready for that purpose, right? And then this is just good to have too. Hide your identity, wipe off your sweat, whatever you got to do with it. Lots of functions, let's just be honest. So throw that back over here. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that this is a very efficient system. It's very small, it's very lightweight because it's titanium, but it does have some compromises because of that, right? So what are those compromises? Well, first off, it has a short service life of these filters. The filters only last 40 gallons. Now, 40 gallons is a lot of water if we're talking about going out on some kind of, recce recon style surveillance mission or whatever it is anyone considers they might have to do in a Minuteman type situation. We're not talking about, being in like a military unit or something like that per se. We're talking about having to just go out, do some scouting and come back. So we're not living forever out of this bottle, but even then 40 gallons gets you quite a bit. I mean, at minimum, that's like 20 days worth of water if you were doing quite a bit every single day and having to drink a lot of water, right? The other thing to keep in mind is you can buy additional filters, so you can always have a backup filter if you decide you need that, but they are substantial in size and space, so it's not something you're going to want to integrate into this kit. So 40 gallons, and then the other problem that this has is that if it freezes, it could damage the filter, and Grayl actually says that this thing can freeze and thaw 4 times before the filter becomes ineffective. So, or actually, I think it might be 2 times. You can quote me later on that article I mentioned because I actually tell you the right information over there, so you should probably go check that out. But I do think it's 2 times. Either way, 2 or 4, you just need to know that you don't want this to freeze and unfreeze multiple times or else you can damage the filter. And that's something to keep in mind. If I was wearing this right now, and it's actually not that cold today even though it looks like it, but if I was wearing this and it was below freezing, what's nice about this chest rig and how slim it is I can wear a jacket over it, and then that will help keep this from freezing, which makes the filter life extended. So keep that in mind. There is a freeze issue with these filters, so you'd have to be aware of that and manage that properly. Now, I have it set up right here, and this pouch is perfect for this bottle. And what pouch is this, you might ask? This is the Arbor Arms stowable Nalgene pouch. It's a 16-ounce stowable pouch because, like I said, it's a 16.9-ounce bottle, and this thing costs $27. Now, go ahead and set it up here. I got my handle sticking out there for me. It's got that little bungee retainer right there, as you can see, and it holds it in really nice, and it sits right here on the edge of the chest rig. There was one additional column of MOLLE webbing here that fit perfect for this because it only uses one MOLLE attachment point. And it's good. It's not the most comfortable thing, but it's water on my person, right? So you have to compromise there. Is it going to be comfortable? Is it going to be bulky? Is it going to be in the way sometimes? All those things are yes, like it doesn't matter. You just need to have water, right? So I'm making compromises because it's worth having water on my body, and this thing can filter the water for me immediately as well as be used for cooking or whatever else, right? So there's a lot of options here. The filter dies, well, guess what? I can boil water in there before I put it into the container. All those things work, right? And then not to mention, the bottle itself is just a bottle on the inside, right? So I can just load water right into the top if I have to, if we get to the point where the filter no longer works. I can also add drink mixes in here because it has a valve that doesn't allow that to interact with the filter system either. So, I mean, this is a really nice water bottle, and it does a great job of doing this well, okay? So, what happens if the filter goes down and I run out of Catadine tablets? Because now, if the filter stops working, I can throw a Catadine tablet in here, or half of one, right? Good to go. But what if the filter goes down? Okay, so that's why we also carry your typical Sawyer Mini, okay? Sawyer Mini, these things are 25 bucks. And what's cool is that with this, I can't screw this on the top like you could with like a smart water bottle or some soda bottles, but you can use the straw with it. So I think I have that in here, yep. So I can just attach the straw if I need to, right? There we go. And now I can just drink that right out of the top of this bottle. So I still have my container, it's still usable, but now I'm making sure the water in it's still filtered, even if this filter goes down. This filter lasts 100,000 gallons. It doesn't filter out viruses like this one does because it uses porous membranes that go down to 0.1 microns. So it's not necessarily as good of a filter system, but it does do the minimum job of getting rid of like bacteria and microorganisms and stuff like that. It weighs almost nothing. And it also can be interacted with the squeeze pouch that they sell with it. And look, I know the Sawyer squeeze is a better filter system. That's why this is a redundancy. This is not my primary filter, right? This is for a backup to a backup. Like honestly, I'm using this filter. That goes down, I'm using the Catadine tablets. I run out of those, now I'll start using the Sawyer probably, right? And then I have the, let's see, the stowable canteen right here for that. And you can use this, you can drink right out of it once you attach the Sawyer right to it, right here at the end, right? So let's go and do that real quick just so you see it. Okay, there you go. You can drink right out of that, or you can use this, fill this up, and then squeeze the water through this, and it'll actually fill any other container now with filtered water. So I could actually fill this, squeeze this into the bottle and have filtered water in the bottle, and then use this as another drinking vessel or whatever else I need to do. The Sawyer Mini also has some of the same freeze issues as the Grayl, just because it uses those porous membranes, and if the water molecules in those freeze, it could expand and damage the membrane. So also, same situation where you need to either use a coat on the outside or carry it in your pocket or close to your body. There are ways to avoid it, but it is something you have to consider. There's also freeze issues with the Sawyer Mini, and none of those issues apply to the Catadine MicroPure water purification tablets. So that's the system I have in place here. Now, I know the Grayl is pretty expensive. You can get non-titanium versions of it for much less money, but then you can't cook with them, and then they're not as durable most likely, and you also have the issue of possibly damaging them because you're wearing it with this type of kit for a reason, right? So I felt like the titanium was worth the upgrade because of all the additional features as well as the durability aspect. But this is how I decided to approach the issue of not having enough water on my system and having water sustainment now where I can keep water up and running for long periods of time. Is this a big canteen that carries a quart? No, it's not. Do I have a lot of water in my backpack? Yes, I do. And here, let's go ahead and just move this real quick. There we go. Now we can see each other. So my whole goal here was just to say, like, let's do better with water. Let's see what we can put into our kits to make it a little bit more feasible to have more water and be able to treat it and have sustainment for a longer period of time. And I think I accomplished that pretty well. So that's why I wanted to share that with everybody. Let me know in the comments below how you approach water in your kit. Do you have water on your belt or on your chest rig or on your plate carrier? Because if not, I mean, it's still relatively common doctrine that if you were to find yourself in the middle of some kind of a fight or something like that, you would drop your backpack, right? And if all of your water's in your backpack and then somehow you get separated and you never make your way back to it, what's your plan moving forward from there in the sense of having water on you? I know some people carry water bottles in their cargo pockets. I know people carry water filters in their pockets too, but the idea of maybe having to deploy something like that, stashable flat canteen, right? So give me all your information down in the comments. This is me sharing how I forced myself to integrate water into my kit. Let me know what you do for yours, or if you're lacking in that department. Anything else you need from me, go to magicprepper.com. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.